We are on. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for coming to see Talks with Alex. I have some really great people coming on the show that I'm really excited to introduce to some of you guys. So we're just going to get started. And I'm going to introduce everybody. It looks like we're trying to wait for some people to come on live. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and talk about first these killings that are happening here in the United States. I mean, we had Ahmaud Arbery that was running first, and he just gets shot, just going for a jog in a neighborhood. And then we have George Floyd, who just got basically suffocated by a police officer with his knee on the ground. It seems like they've been protesting out there in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I decided for the whole time, I'm just going to wear my I've been lynched shirt, just to kind of remind us that we still haven't we've come a long way, but we've not gone that far. So we still got a long way to go, and we just really need to make sure that we are being vigilant while we are out here doing this COVID virus time, and that we still have to recognize our place, and that we got to continue to protest and fight for our rights. But if you're going to go out there and protest, please make sure you are wearing masks, because we don't want it to spread in our communities. So go out there, fight the power, but also still be safe. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and introduce our people. I am Alex Beering, and I got some great people on the show. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce the people that I'm with. All right. So the first person is Beardoon, who goes by Diesiel. All right. And I'm just going to kind of read his bio for you. He is Beardoon, who is popularly known as B Diesel. So he likes to be called Diesel. Broke into the Nigerian media and entertainment scene in 2015 and has since registered himself as one of the most talented hosts and event compere in Nigeria. His versatility and excellent delivery as a TV host, presenter, MC, and business executive earned him the nickname Diesel in some entertainment and corporate circles. As an influencer, Diesiel has worked with a handful of brands across industries in Nigeria to help drive campaigns and brand messages to their target audiences. As a presenter, he works with Accelerate TV as a host of the Accelerate News every Monday. As a business consultant, he works with he attended the University of Maiduguri, Nigeria, where he graduated with a degree in business management and then went on to complete his MSc program in media and communication from Pan Atlantic University, parent institution of the Lagos Business School in 2016. All right. The next person we have on is Kevin Maxim. Kevin Maxim has always been many things to many people, and to Studio 188, he is a musician, primarily a singer from the United States of America. He has worked with a fair number of American celebrities like Grammy Award winners Maya Eshe of hip hop group Arrested Development, and Bobby McFerrin, Grammy Award nominees Angie Stone and Mario, and NAACP Image Award winner Omari Hardwick, and choreographer producer Travis Payne on projects for radio, television, and theater. He has also cooperated with international brands like Gap, Banana Republic, the Grammy Foundation, Hawaii, Jack and Jones, Tiffany & Co., Honda Civic, Page, and Mercedes-Benz. Kevin Maxim is no stranger to hard work, and hard work always has its rewards. He won Downbeat Magazine Awards in 2003 and 2004 with his group Afro Blue. 2005 and 2006 followed up well with wins at the Washington Area Music Awards with this group Reverb. In 2009, Kevin Maxim won an award for Velocity Magazine for Best Alternative Artist, becoming a semi-finalist on Essence's R&B Star Competition, and the winner of Emmy Award winner Steve Harvey's New Star Project the following year. Born in Atlanta, Georgia, Kevin Maxim later became a 10-year resident of Washington, D.C., where he earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in music from Howard University, the Howard University. He is currently based in Shanghai, China, and has performed at some of her most prestigious venues, including Shanghai Concert Hall, Mercedes-Benz Arena, and television, including Shanghai's channel for fashion designer Eric Chung's New Year's Eve 2015 special. He was also featured part of That's Magazine National Hospitality Awards 2017 and Food and Drink Awards 2017. He is a recording artist, published songwriter, vocal producer, and vocal arranger, and vocal coach. And last but not least, we have Mpho. Mpho Buntse is a young political activist from South Africa, Johannesburg. His work central to queering South African politics. He currently serves as the national head of communication and spokesperson for the African National Congress, Women's League LGBTIQ desk. Buntse has been integral in creating a space for political recognition of queer issues and established the annual Simone Nicoli Memorial Lecture running for the past 6 years. He is also developing other queer spaces, including South African Higher Education Queer Alliance and the first 40 under 40 SADC Queer Game Changers list. Mpho was recognized as the Goodwill Ambassador for LGBT rights for the people of Greece and the world by ILGA in 2015. He is also a fellow of the Mandela Washington Fellowship, Global Diplomatic Forum, and the Young African Leaders Initiative Southern Africa. In 2017, he was invited to speak at the Victory Institute World LGBTQ Leaders Conference, yes, a global space for over 500 LGBTIQ leaders across the world. He is also a queer researcher currently undertaking a study titled Queering Through COVID-19, a case study on social and economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the LGBTIQ in South Africa, a study he hopes to aid in policy recommendations for government in addressing the pandemic. Okay, that was a lot. I gotta do it. So let me introduce you to my guests. Nice. How you guys doing?
Doing all right.
We're alive.
So I just read your whole lives.
For me, like it's my sleep time.
Huh? That was nicely
It's my
done.
sleep time. I should be sleeping now. It's 3 a.m. So like I'm a bit exhausted. You can tell by my eyes
Oh
Yeah.
no.
that it's over.
Oh,
Well,
Like
I'm
I'm trying to hide my sleepiness. 8 o'clock in the morning.
So wait a minute. What time is it there, Kevin?
It's 8:07 a.m.
How about you, Diesiel?
it's like 107.
Oh wow. And Mpho?
It's 7 past 2.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me get into some questions for you guys, okay? And so like I'm just gonna kind of run into them and then we can just move to the next person. I'll call out the next person. So Kevin, you're at the epicenter of all this stuff, right? COVID is in China. I mean, they say that it started off there, right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
What has it been like, and when did you guys start going into lockdown? What has been happening there?
Well, my first hearing of it was in January. I think I'd heard like some inklings before, but you know, sometimes we have these little bugs that kind of fly around. And I kind of, I heard about it in December, I think maybe just in passing, and I was just like, okay, whatever, it's something that'll come and go. But then in January is when I started hearing people talk a lot more seriously about it. And as soon as I started hearing that it was a respiratory, it was something that attacks your respiratory system. I have asthma. And so that's when we immediately like locked down house right before Chinese New Year. So it would have been around maybe like the 25th or so. Yeah, end of January when we voluntarily locked down. I don't remember exactly when. I think it might have been just right at the end of Spring Festival, which would have been like a week, like that first week of February, where the government finally like put down the hammer and was like, everybody stay at home.
Yeah. So I mean, like, how about you, Diesiel? What's been going on out there?
So interestingly for me, I left Nigeria just before the lockdown was put in place, which was, I think, about second week in March. The weekend I arrived, the Friday I arrived Ireland, everything in Nigeria went into lockdown on like Sunday. And so it's just been really interesting to see the way that the situation has evolved from the mind if I say the lackluster approach to just acknowledging the fact that there is a pandemic happening to the scramble for resources and just having everybody wanting to shelter in place and to someone like me being stuck outside of the country and just asking ourselves like what the actual f is going on. It's very interesting to have to survive in spite of it all, but
Yeah.
as the situation unfolds, I'm just like laughing from where I stand because I don't know how I would have survived if I was in Nigeria at this time. Not to say that the government hasn't done its part, but I live with a very like I come from a place where we are a very interesting people.
Mhm.
Just seeing the way that the world out here is reacting to the fact that there is a pandemic, and just seeing the videos and clips and communication from the government back home, I'm just like these are worlds apart, and it's just very interesting to be right in the middle of it all, just having the experience from this part of the world and seeing what exactly is happening back home as well.
Jeez.
Hmm.
Kevin, my friend Shay says hi.
Hey,
Um,
Shay.
so, Mpho, how has it been out there in South Africa, man? And like, how is it? What is it affecting? How is it affecting you politically, man?
Well, one of the most important things to note is the fact that we've been hailed as one of the countries managing COVID-19 the best way possible. I mean, we on our fourth week now, fifth week, and we stand at about 22,000 cases.
Yeah.
It really paints a picture of a government that really stood very quick in response to the virus.
Mhm.
And it's still early. We are about to reach our peak because it's our winter. We recently started our winter a couple of days ago, and it's a bit difficult because we projecting that like a lot of people will die as a result of the pandemic. So it's a bit touch and go. The government is trying all it can to make sure that there is health standards in place. There are places to make sure that when the situation reach the peak that we are expecting, we are able to manage it better. But otherwise, we've been able to lock down, and we will be going back to normal business from the 1st of June, which is next week, Monday.
Oh, wow.
Business, yeah, we've been closed, shut down. There's been like a huge ban on alcohol purchases as well, an alcohol ban, cigarette ban, or tobacco bans, because government believes that if it allows the use of tobacco products, which makes it very difficult to be able to manage or protect yourself from the virus. So it's a bit tricky. We'll see the situation changing a little better in a few days. It is difficult. It is difficult.
Yeah, yeah, I can only imagine, man. I mean, if they banned tobacco here in the United States, I'd be in the streets protesting myself. Corner somewhere,
Yeah.
And too out here in Pennsylvania, man, they shut down all the liquor stores. The liquor stores of the state. So you can only go to get like maybe some beer and wine in the grocery store out here that they just started selling, and they only got beer and wine in a certain grocery store. So like
Oh, wow.
it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I mean, like, so let me ask you a question. I mean, like, what have you guys been trying to do to kind of keep your minds right, to stay sane while you're locked down inside places? I mean, I know, I mean, a lot of people may have roommates or family members or be in relationships at this time. Um, and like, I mean, they're saying that the divorce inquiries have gone up by 50%. Then that was just in the month of March. I haven't even looked what's going on. So like, how are you guys managing in the spaces that you're in? I'll let you go first, Diesel.
So for me, I mean, it really takes the world standing still for us to actually take a couple of steps back and really just evaluate the nature of relationships that we have with people. From a work standpoint, I work with a tech company back in Nigeria. It's headquartered in the United States, and we have branches across the continent, Africa. So work has always been remote in that I travel back and forth between the US and a lot of African countries. So I'm able to work from anywhere. Work has always been pretty fairly remote. But now adjusting into like full-time remote was pretty seamless. From a family standpoint, it's just been interesting to speak to my family members very often. I also haven't been able to speak to as many of them as I want, but lately, like even my younger sister, we talk literally almost every day. The other day, she sent me a message in the evening and she says to me, "You haven't called me today." And to me, I'm just like, "Wait, I just called you yesterday." And then I just realized that we have actually spoken almost every day since all of this started and since I've been out here. Um, it's interesting because it's also getting like my creative juices flowing in that I also work as a presenter and I have to keep pushing out content.
Yeah.
So myself and the team back in Nigeria are always speaking about, oh, what can we do today to make the news more fun? What can we do to keep it, innovative? And just the other day, you saw me like cleaning my house and literally just filming the news because I literally got tired of filming from one corner. And my family here is just like, dude, you got chores to do. And I'm just like, you know what? I'll film the news while doing chores. So there I am, like washing the windows, watering the plants, cleaning the kitchen, or doing something. I'm just talking about the news, and apparently, people loved it. I have tried my best not to focus a lot on the numbers because it's sad. Similar to Kevin as well, I'm asthmatic. And so just knowing that I also have to be careful because someone like me, I as well, like I'm at risk. So it's a tough space to be in, but I'm happy that I haven't felt the effects of it directly. One
Yeah.
of my best friends who's in the UK recently recovered from the virus, and he only told me like after he got better, and he said the reason why he did that primarily was because he knows how I react to such news, and I'm probably gonna like freak out or pass out the moment he tells me. I was like, it's not that bad, but he sent me pictures of him in the time when he was ill, from the nosebleeds to the temperature readings and everything. And I was just like, please never feel like you can never share such information with me because the last thing you want to do at this time is to face that is to have gone through that alone. He did apologize and I'm so glad to hear that he's better now. Again, like that's as far as I have been impacted, but also just making sure that I'm there for my family, there for my friends, and trying to keep my mind productive while I shelter in place is how I literally have been dealing with it. I'm also a member of some of the NGO outreaches that are happening back in Nigeria. So from creating content and using myself as an ambassador to push out messaging for people to just remember to stay safe at this time is part of the little way that I feel like I've been able to contribute as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that whole experience in firsthand. I mean, I know two people who had the virus. Both actually were in New York. It was actually one of our mutual friends.
Oh.
I think I was telling you about that.
I think I just heard about that over the weekend. This is Martin, I think.
What? My friend? No, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. This is another one.
Okay.
Nicholas, out in New York. And then it was another friend of mine who had the virus in New York. He lives out in Brooklyn.
Gotcha.
One of my really best friends, his father just passed from it. And so we had to go have the funeral. That was an interesting experience too, with the whole social distancing thing and staying apart. I'm going to let you go next, Kevin. So how have you been faring through this whole process?
I'm definitely grateful to be in a situation where I'm not in the house by myself.
Yeah.
That's something I think about a lot. Is like the people who had to go through this situation here, like by themselves.
Yeah.
And I know a few of those people, but like here in Shanghai right now, we're actually doing quite well. Like we're on the other end of it. We just went for a walk the other day to the park and just, we're just hanging out. I'm back at work on the weekends. I'm not quite working as much as I normally would be, but we're limited as far as what we're able to do. Like I do gigs on the weekend sometimes. Sometimes I'm at a club. But yeah, we're back to work. Not full speed ahead, but definitely getting there, I think.
So let me ask you a question. When you're doing these gigs, is there a lot of people there? Do you see like do you see like a reluctance to come back out from people? I mean, are you getting crowds that were like almost as big that you were, or you see it's like kind of slim pickings out there?
It's hard to say because one of the venues that I'm working at right now is kind of a newer venue for me. So I'm not really sure what their crowds are normally like, but it's definitely not empty. But I mean, it could be the fact that, you know, a lot of our venues are still kind of slow to open.
Mm-hmm.
But it also, I mean, it could just be that they wanted to come and see me. I don't know. You know, I had to say it. But yeah, I mean, at this point we're doing quite well. Yeah, in the heat of it though, I think it was great just being able to have someone here with me. And I understood like what you were saying earlier about, you know, divorces and stuff happening. Like, look, we have split and got back together. Like, it's just been crazy. Like, it really accentuates a lot of like, you know, issues that are already happening, you know, in relationships. And I guess it's kind of a good time to, as those relationships issues are coming to the surface, it's a great time to like actually deal with them. You know what I mean? So that really gave us a cool opportunity to do that. And so I feel like we're a lot stronger for it.
Yeah, communication is key. I mean, you got to be able to be with somebody that can communicate with you and feel safe with telling you stuff and knowing that you're not going to judge them for who they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you have to also learn how to move past your own triggers and traumas to be able to listen so you're not taking things personally. I'm going through a recent whatever. Yeah, but like, you know, it showed me, this space gave me a time to really like figure out like what I may have been doing in the past that's not been functional or good for relationships. And this helped me become a better person. I mean, we had a whole thing about therapy the last time. And then so being able to go through those processes and kind of deal with the traumas that you've been through in the past. I mean, me, for instance, being a gay Black male, I mean, there's a lot of trauma that comes along with that. And so, you know, there are things that I may do that may be triggering other people or that aren't necessarily good. And so trying to work through those things through therapy has been a great experience for me. But that's not what we're talking about. So how about you, Mpho? What's going on with you, man?
Personally, I think one of the biggest challenges for me has been, you know, me being away from family. It's very difficult because the only way to, you know, keep in contact with my loved ones, my parents, my siblings, is through calls for the past 3 months. So something new. I'm trying to get used to it. Hopefully, with the easing of the lockdown, we'll be able to travel inter-province so I can go back home. But otherwise, and generally, like I live in a complex where, you know, understanding issues of social distancing, we once in a while chill in the complex with a couple of friends, obviously with our personal protection on so that we don't expose ourselves to, you know, the virus out there. But otherwise, relationships have changed generally. How we do things, you know, in terms of work professionally as well. Meetings have transformed, you know, to such a way that we still trying to, you know, understand, you know, the virtual world, how it works, how we, I mean, like COVID-19 is here to stay. We just have to learn how to, you know, coexist with the virus. So with kids going back to school here in South Africa, people going back to work from next week, Monday, we're seeing stuff changing. I'm thinking as well, personally as well, my business would, you know, see a light of day because it's been a struggle. For the past 3 months, I haven't been able to do, you know, my side hustle because of the lockdown. I'm hoping that from Monday, you know, most of my clients will come back. But otherwise, relationships as well. I've made a lot of relationships on Facebook. Yeah. I'm not too sure if they will continue, post the lockdown. But otherwise, I had met a couple of people. It's been nice. Yeah, I'm cool. And politically, we continue to do the work. We've been exploring quite a number of platforms, including Zoom, to explore how do we engage our members politically during the times of COVID-19. It's been really difficult because conferences, our weekly political schools, we have to ensure that many of our members that find themselves in impoverished communities get the message. It's very difficult because of issues of digital divide. We have access to talk now, but for me to be able to speak to my constituency, which is found in the most rural places in South Africa, communication becomes very difficult. So yeah, we're still trying to get there. We're hoping that with the easing of the lockdown, things may change for the better.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about reaching out to your constituency. I mean, I know one of the things about this virus is maybe interact with my grandparents in a way where we're trying to teach them the little video chat thing, or like I think my sister was teaching my grandfather how to use cash. So it's been a really good teaching opportunity for the seniors and the elders to find other ways to connect with their families. I mean, I know sometimes they get caught up in these, or they in some sort of a home, or they can't leave their homes as often, so they kind of disconnect with their families on a regular basis. I think this is a really golden opportunity for some people to try to use this as a space to interact with their elders in ways where they can show them how to, better access technology, so they're not find themselves alone as often as they would as we're bustling and going on in regular lives. I kind of want to just ask you a bit. Like, I mean, so you're saying you have constituents, and so like, how or what are you doing politically in South Africa? How are you shifting? I know that you've been doing a lot of things with LGBTQ rights. I know that's where we met. We were both. I was a Victory Fund fellow, and you were a speaker at the Victory Fund. You came and you spoke at the international conference, and that's where we connected. And you came back, and you were a Drexel, and you were a Mandela fellow then. And funny thing, it's going through a breakup there this time. You were a Mandela fellow then, and so we were hanging out in Philly. How has this affected you, and what are you doing politically right now?
Like I said, it's very difficult. This is new to us. We wouldn't have anticipated that the fourth month of a new year, 2020, we would have to be discussing how do we fast track actually the process of setting up the infrastructure for the fourth industrial revolution in Africa. It's the reality. We have to communicate politically. I can count a couple of programs that we've had in a few months, where we've seen one of the challenges that I've indicated in the previous question was this idea of not being able to reach everyone because of digital divide. Issues of data access in South Africa are still a challenge. The most easiest and efficient way to communicate with our people, it is through actually being there physically, face to face. Virtually becomes very problematic because of access to data. So it's been difficult in that sense. We try change how we do our programs at the moment, specifically when we're looking at the LGBTQ community. So in terms of what I do, I work with the African National Congress, which is the leading party or the leading government in South Africa at the moment. So recently, the political party decided that it was key or it was important at this point to set up a structure which will address issues of LGBTQ people in South Africa. So I serve in that structure as its communications personnel. We do quite a number of programs, specifically in South Africa. We wanna play a very significant role across South Africa. When one looks at sub-Saharan Africa, when you look at the countries like Nigeria, where we have relationships with the queer community there, we believe that our work as a country goes beyond what we can do. Constitutionally, we are protected as the LGBTQ in South Africa, but we live in a continent where it's still very difficult. And I think, my brother, you also confirm that in Nigeria, it's still very difficult for queer people. And when you look at COVID-19 and lockdown in particular, it becomes very difficult for our people to be able to lock down because we are locked down with abusers, we are locked down with people that violate us, and often it's very difficult to even go outside and seek refuge or seek help from law enforcement because that's where we get secondary abuse as well, harassment. So it's very problematic. We've been on our toes since the lockdown started, trying to help LGBTQ individuals access housing, access relief in a form of being able to get food to eat during this time. Most people are losing their jobs during this time. So
Yeah.
it's also important that when we speak relief, we also speak relief that addresses issues of LGBTQ people. The United Nations Human Rights Commission recently released a report which indicates that LGBTQ people globally are hard hit by COVID-19, mainly because of the fact that we cannot go out and get assistance from people if we cannot get it inside where we should be feeling comfortable in our families where we are victimized because of our sexuality. So our work is to ensure that we deal with these cases, agitate government to ensure that we get relief which is specific to the LGBTQ community.
Yeah, I work for a statewide nonprofit that gives free legal services to seniors across the state of Pennsylvania, and we were recognizing that one of the bad or downsides to the lockdown is our people are being stuck in the home with abusers. And so it's just like, for some, I guess, and you're right, relationships could be like interesting, and it could kind of exasperate issues that were already there festering under the surface, like Kevin was talking about, and it can explode into different spaces. Yeah, so I mean, and the LGBT community here in Philadelphia is very robust and vibrant, and like we were saying, it's just like, I can only imagine some of the things that are happening here in the city. I mean, it's just, I think one of the positive sides is that we still have a police force that we could use or hopefully depend on. I mean, as long as they're not putting their knee on your neck and stop you from breathing. Yeah, but I think that outside of that, I mean, I think that's one of the blessings of being in, I guess, a space that's very LGBTQ friendly, because it's not like that across the whole country here in the United States. And so that's one of the things I'm very, very, very thankful about. I just want to ask, so you all are in different spheres, and we're talking about technology and stuff like that. How do you think that COVID is going to affect your careers moving forward? I mean, I know that a lot of you guys, like for us, it's in my company, it's just like we know that probably there's going to be a lot more people working from home. I can only imagine what that's going to do to the real estate industry as far as businesses are concerned. Businesses are going to start letting their employees go home, and they're not going to need as much office space as they have. As far as schools are concerned, colleges and universities here, I heard that Morehouse was struggling a little bit because they're having to return a lot of funds to their students for housing and meal programs and stuff like that. And it's causing them to teeter. And Morehouse for you guys is a very prominent Black institution. That's a university and college here in the United States. Martin Luther King came from Morehouse University. And so I mean, when you see big institutions like that struggling, you know that eventually it's going to kind of change the system a little bit. I was talking to some teachers and they were just saying, yeah, I mean, a lot of the classrooms may become virtual, so you're not going to necessarily need as many teachers in the classroom anymore. They'll be able to manage things through technology. So how do you think technology is going to affect the future of your careers as you guys adjust to what's happening in this thing? What do you see happening down the line? I'll let you start, Kevin.
Me. No, I definitely agree with you. I think that oh, something is echoing. But yeah, I definitely agree with you that like a lot of stuff is going to become a lot more virtual. Like, yeah, as far as music is concerned, um, the cool thing about it, if you're not just depending on like live music gigs, then everything else kind of stays the same. A lot of our music that we record nowadays is done remotely. Like, in fact, right now we're in my recording studio right now. So this is where a lot of the magic happens. Um, but in fact, I was able to do. I don't know if you guys were able to see it. We did a song called "We Are China" with a bunch of people from
Yes,
all
I
over
saw
the
that.
world,
Hmm.
and that's exactly how we did it. A lot of us were kind of quarantined in our homes, and so those of us who could record at home did so. Especially me, I was like, I'm not sharing the mic with anybody right now. Not happening. So yeah, I ended up recording my parts here. Um, as far as everything else, yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're doing it right, it's you're not really necessarily depending on performing. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Sounded weird, but yeah, if you're not just depending on live gigs, which I think is important for a lot of musicians to diversify outside of just performing in a club or just performing like at a church or whatever. Um, yeah, being able to use your gifts and like really understanding what the industry is, and the industry is online.
I hear that. How about you, Diesel?
I'll speak more from the media sphere where I do, stuff. One of the things that is really crucial for people at this time is to maintain that connection with the audience. Media, TV, radio, and every other thing is targeted directly at an audience. If you're doing it and nobody's watching or nobody's listening, then you might as well just be doing a broadcast in Mars and hoping that the Martians would listen. A lot of people I see a lot of people in my space trying to take the easy way out, aka a lot of Instagram lives happening. And I feel like while that is great, that should not be the next escape for people. It should not just be, yes, I have like a following on Instagram. I'm just gonna hit live and I'm gonna do what I have to do with them. There's a show that I have with one of my friends back in Nigeria. It's called Bros in Transit. What we do is we sit in our car and we drive around Lagos and we review like pop culture, major entertainment headlines that have happened during the week, and then I record it with my camera and then I edit it when I'm home. Um, I've been so because it's like a motion based show where we have to be like together in the same space talking about stuff. I've been very curious as to how we keep that going, even now that COVID is a thing. Because first of all, I'm locked here and he's over there, so we have to start thinking outside of the box. How do we, keep this content going? And then he
Yeah.
reached out to me saying, "Oh, let's do an Instagram live," and I'm just like, I would want to do something that people would see and marvel at and be like, "How did they pull that off during this lockdown?" I don't know if you saw the latest episode of RuPaul's Drag Race where they did the reunion show.
No.
That for me is the future of content production. Everybody in their house and just filming with crisp, clear audio and video content
Yeah,
matched together with the brilliance of editing. I'm like, that is
Mhm.
what I want to do. So I told him to go watch that as a reference for how we're gonna kick out the next show. I'm not just gonna go on Instagram Live. So this is the time for every content creator, every presenter, every host to start thinking outside the box. You're beyond. You are now more than a talent. You have to acquire practical skills. You have to be an editor, you have to be a director, you have to be a cinematographer, you have to be a set designer, the whole shebang. I love how Kevin is sitting in the studio right now and the light is hitting him right. I'm just like, that everybody
Yes.
it's not just whip out a phone, record something, and push it out. No, just
Yeah.
you're now like a one-man army. And the beauty of it all is that what I'm able to do by myself and what you're able to do by yourself, when we merge that together, the world goes on. The world goes on. So it's just right now, just thinking outside the box and just amassing all of the skills that we can for work. Work is work. We'll keep having the Zoom meetings. We'll keep pushing out the documents online, and would would keep that going as well.
How about you, Mpho?
I think I've touched a bit on what we've been doing in terms of programs,
Yeah.
because we just want to move everything from a face-to-face kind of engagement to the virtual, your Zoom kind of meetings.
Well, let me
But
let me
generally,
let me ask you a question. Do you think your government is thinking about ways to uh, fill in the infrastructure a little bit more, like giving like free access to data to the citizens, or you think they're coming up with any type of communication or digital package for the a country? Like, do you think the government has already started making that something that's a priority for them now that they see that this is an issue?
no, definitely, definitely. One also looks at how government has been placing pressure on private service providers such as your MTN, operating in Nigeria, for example,
Yeah.
to lower data costs, because data costs are one of the greatest challenges that leads to digital divide. So once we address that, we addressed our issues. So government is doing quite a lot of work in terms of lobbying private sector, which is really at the helm of providing data connectivity to South Africans, to make sure that they speed up the process. We've been seeing most of them. We've seen the top three, including Vodacom, lowering their data cost to about 33%. So it's indicative of a country that is realizing that data is what we need now, and for us to be able to communicate or to stay abreast, we need to have data. And yeah, it is happening, although it is slow. As a process, we believe that government is doing quite a lot to agitate and to lobby those that are in the private sector to make sure that they make it accessible.
I hear that, man. I hear that. I mean, I think that's always the digital divide. And we see that here out in the United States too, in certain communities. They were talking about how a lot of the kids in schools being shut down and how some of the kids didn't have internet within their homes. Um, I didn't realize how many, like even in spaces that are professional for me, and how many people actually don't have good internet. And these are professionals in their careers. Um, so I wanted to ask you guys, I mean, I know we have about 15 minutes. And so before we end it completely, I wanted to ask you guys to tell us about any upcoming projects, I said projects that you have, well, it is a product, because you are, yeah, right, anyway. Projects that you have that you are working on, and how people can actually contact you to kind of follow your careers and see what you guys are doing. I mean, I know Kevin from school, Kevin was my roommate for 6 years when we were in college. So
Yep.
I know Kevin very well. I've always been a fan. You got to see Kevin's music on his Instagram page. I mean, me and Kevin have known each other through real government names to our personas. like it's crazy. I mean, when I was a musician, I mean, and now I'm doing politics and work and not for work. So I've known Kevin since I was 18. And I'm like,
I got to see the whole.
so like Kevin, I mean, like, what are you doing? Like, what projects are you doing? Like, what should people be looking out for you? And how do they contact you? What are your social media platforms?
I am on just about everything, but like you said earlier, I'm probably the most active on Instagram. Just because I don't know why I like Instagram so much. I think it's the user interface. I don't know, something about it really makes me excited. Um, but yeah, I'm always working on something. Right now, well, as you know, before I had released the "We Are China" song with the group of musicians from here. But now I'm also working with an organization called 51 Give to do a similar type of recording but on my own with some local producers, which should be really, really good. I'm really excited about it. Um, Working with some photographers here to really get some really cool photos done for the campaign. In fact, that's one of the things we were doing last night in the park. So I can't wait to
Okay.
share it with you guys. But yeah, hit me up. In fact, the easiest way to find all of my social media is to go to Kevin Maxim dash social dot card with two R's dot co. And that sounds crazy, but I promise you, just hold on to that address. You'll get everything. But in general, everything, I'm Kevin Maxim everywhere.
Okay.
KEVIMXIM.
Okay. And how about you, Diesel?
Um, Project wise, I'm part of this nonprofit called One Word Africa. It's a foundation that is designed to help bring awareness to dyslexia in Nigeria and just helping push for inclusivity when it comes to school curriculums from uh, primary to like tertiary institution to make sure that people who are dyslexic are being thought of consciously and are included and catered for when it comes to curriculums across the educational sector. Very recently, a producer reached out to me to say that he contacted the foundation and they want to do like a documentary infused with like a short film to highlight the salient effects of this in our country, Nigeria. And so they want to collaborate with me to just create that content and push it out. We've been talking about it. It's slightly difficult now that I am not in the country, and
Yeah.
COVID is a thing because they skipped the fact that I was not in the country, and they reached out to me last week to say they have the script ready and they wanted to run it by me and probably shoot like some test shots with me. But then I let them know that sadly I'm not in the country at the moment. However, that's the main project that I am really excited about that is coming up sometime later this year. Outside of that, I am available on social, most active on Instagram. Instagram would be B Diesel. That's BEEDIESIEL. Once you type BEEDIE, you see the rest will pop up. Outside of that, just a DM on Instagram gets my attention. It's my inbox is crazy, but that's the fastest way to reach me. Outside of that, Facebook, I'm not so active on there. And then I don't want to be boring and say LinkedIn, but BR on LinkedIn is also a thing. So that's about everything that's happening on my end, mostly.
Okay. How about you, Mpho?
On my end, project-wise, I'm currently working on, as you introduced me, I'm working on a paper, on a research paper with Professor Anthony Brown from the University of Johannesburg. The paper is to look at the impact of the social and economic impact of COVID-19 on the LGBTQ community in South Africa. So that's one of the biggest projects that I'm working on at the moment. The study is also commissioned by the political party that I work for, the African National Congress. And personally as well, there are a couple of side hustles that I'm finalizing during, the lockdown, hoping that when we, lift the lockdown completely, I'll be able to launch them. One in particular is the 40 under 40 queer game changers. It's a list based in the SADC region, where we profile LGBTQ individuals in various industries and various sectors that are doing amazing work wherever they are. Because we believe that in Africa we don't get that a lot. So this list will go a long way in terms of, showing the work that we do, showing our pride, and reminding people that we can do, stuff beyond just our sexuality. And personally, on Mpho Buntse. My name is very difficult to pronounce, but it's Mphobunse. All platforms, I go by my name and surname because I don't want to confuse myself. Instagram, Facebook, uh, yeah, with the exception of Twitter. Twitter is very vicious here in South Africa, so I try stay away from Twitter. But Facebook and Instagram, Mpho.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming on to my little talks with Alex. It's something that I decided to be creative to do. At the end of the day, as cerebral as I am very much so a creative person. And so, I mean, this is something that is going to be time to do. I mean, besides going back to school, um, working all day and being on all these committees and stuff like that. I mean, this gives me some sort of a way to one, stay connected with some freaking amazing people who are doing amazing things that are influencing the world, even if you think it's not that serious. I mean, the fact that you were born and walked this earth, you are immediately changing the world. And so, in some way, but you guys are making impact through your talents and through your ability to think and help make lives better. I mean, so it is my absolute pleasure to have this time to speak with you guys. And you guys coming on my show, it's growing. So it was 190 views the last time. It was 490. No, the last time was 491 views. My first one was 190 views. And so we'll see how many this gets. We're growing. And so, like, I just really hope you guys stay connected with me. I'm going to do my best to stay connected with you guys. I mean, yeah. I mean,
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's been awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and, so what's one thing that you want to leave with everybody before I transition you out? Like, what's one thing that you want people to remember about you? I guess we can start with Diesiel.
One thing I want people to remember about myself.
Yes.
If there's one thing I want people to remember about me, is the fact that it's important for you to remember that the position that you're in, you were put there for a reason, and the best that you can do for the world and for yourself is to at least help the people who surround you try and feel better. Even if you cannot physically help them be better, make sure that you can emotionally try and help them feel better. It's the least that you can do for anybody. I think that is one of the greatest ethoses that I live by. When I think of the work that I do in the corporate world, I say to executives, I just want to help you scale as a leader. So whatever it is that I can do to make that happen, I'm happy to render my services in that regard. To my friends, to my family, to people who I meet, I just want to make sure that in one way or another, I just help you feel better.
Mpho? That's good.
That I live, I think one of the greatest gifts that I want to leave with the world and your people now is that I live. Living for me is one of the greatest things. And I wake up every day, especially during this devastating time, thanking, the power that I'm alive. So the fact that I live and I shared my life with, a lot of people who, couldn't necessarily, live their lives, as openly as they want. or they would have wanted give me the biggest pleasure or the greatest joy. So I want people to remember me for living, being in spaces and trying to make everyone happy. Uh, so yeah.
Okay. All right. How about you, Kev?
The one thing I want people to remember or take away from an experience with me is you. That the concept of Ubuntu, because I am, you are, we are the same, and that we all have exactly everything that we need. Um, we don't have to go wanting for anything. So, like, even one of the main prayers that I pray all the time is that, God, like, I don't want anything. I have everything. I just need to know where it is. I just need to know what to call it,
Mm.
to be able to call it by name. So, yeah, if there's anything that I can reflect back to people is that, like, we're all survivors. We're all like, this is already over. We're already on to the next thing. And everything is right now. So take this moment to be the best and most fulfilled version of yourself, because, nothing changes after this is over. This just highlights everything that's going on right now.
Yeah. Oh, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. So I'm gonna let you guys go, and I'm gonna give my little bit of a last word and try to give some sort of encouragement. It's been a while since I've been in church, so I'm gonna try to give some encouragement to the people. But thank you so much. I know you guys are probably tired. Diesiel and Mpho and Kevin. Yeah, because you said, what time is it there? Again?
Here,
Yeah.
8:56 a.m.
Oh, okay. So it's not as bad.
We're in the tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. And I will talk to you later. All right.
Thank you for having us, Kevin.
Thank you.
See you.
So, guys, thank you so much for watching the talks with me, Diesiel, Kevin, and Mpho. It was a great conversation. I mean, this time has really given me a chance to connect with some old friends and to keep in contact with them and to figure out what they're doing in their lives. I mean, this is the perfect time to do that. And it's also a great time for reflection. We talked about some of the things that are happening in the communities now with people who are less fortunate than us. And, this time exasperates the things that are bad in some people's lives. I mean, you have children who are probably living with abusive parents, or children in homes with parents who may have drug problems or habits, or parents who don't agree with them being gay. You have adults or people in relationships that may be abusive. People have lost their jobs. People are on homeless or on the street and out here being exposed to the virus. We have the virus breaking out in senior homes and in different places, just taking people out left and right. This is a time for us to be thankful. It has really been a sobering time for me because at the end of the day, I still have a job, I can still pay my bills, but that is not, that's something that is exceptional. I mean, there are a lot of people out here that are struggling. And as we move forward and we go through these times and we see like some of these videos of the police taking out people for no reason, and strangling them. Like, how does somebody that is sent out to serve listen to somebody else gag and scream, "I can't breathe," and continue to choke them in front of other people until they die? That is a lot. So I am thankful. I am thankful for the position that I'm in. I thank God that he has smiled upon me to give me this space to be able to use this platform to talk to people. Please come back, check me out next week. We'll be back here talking with some more friends next week on Tuesday at 8. I would love to see you guys come on. Shoot me a message if you have an idea or if you would like me to interview you. It'd be my pleasure. My email is jay8390@gmail.com. You're more than welcome to hit me up. Let me know what we can talk about, or I'll reach out to some of you guys and see what's going on. This is Talks with Alex. Stay thankful. Stay thankful. And I will see you guys later.